Moving on to the next big story. Days after Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju made it clear in the upper house of Parliament that states are empowered to enact personal laws that decide issues like marriage and divorce. In their endeavour to secure a uniform civil code, BJP-led Karnataka government is now mulling to implement the civil code in the state. Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has said that they are gathering information regarding developments in various other states on the UCC, and any decision on this or implementation of it will be taken after going through those developments. The Chief Minister also made it clear, though, that the bill regarding UCC will not be introduced in this winter session of the legislature. Remember, after Madhya Pradesh said that it will form a panel to implement civil code, there are states like Maharashtra where the Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has also echoed calls for UCC. Uttarakhand, another BJP-led government, has already moved in this regard. Many BJP governments have announced that they are looking into UCC, that they are preparing the legal ground for introducing a bill. And here is what the Karnataka government has said now. They are saying, and I quote, "The preamble of our constitution promises equality and fraternity. UCC makes people's welfare possible and brings in equality." They're saying they were under the impression or the assumption that the centre can bring a law with regards to UCC, but now Union Minister Rijiju has made it clear that states can also enact these laws. Minister of Law, Parliamentary Affairs and Legislation of Karnataka also said that now they will gather more information of what other states are doing and then take action post that. Let me break down the case for and against the Uniform Civil Code as well. Now, people supporting the Common Civil Code say it enhances especially the status of women who are sometimes bound in, religious, archaic laws, and even the lower castes. But people objecting to it say that this is difficult to implement. There is a diverse personal law culture in India and devotional adherence to them. People backing it say many personal law provisions actually violate human rights as India stands today or as the Constitution is and envisaged. Those objecting to UCC say that implementation will only create fear, especially against minorities, of their loss of cultural identity. On the other side, there is also an argument that Article 25 and 26 guarantee freedom of religion, so UCC is not exactly opposed to secularism or to your right to religion and profess it. People objecting to it say rights bestowed by religion cannot be questioned by a court of law and otherwise. Finally, people backing UCC say that liberal, gender-sensitive civil codes are the need for a new India, for India to be propelled into the next century, while those opposing it say that no one should interfere with religion in the name of social reform. But it has happened in some cases in India. So the big question we're asking today, as the Karnataka government pitches for UCC or sets a stage for it, remember it's coming just about a year before the next Karnataka election. So is it a commitment of the BJP in Karnataka or just a poll plank?
ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಲಾ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರು ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕೋಡು ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಾವನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿದ್ವಿ. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯಗಳು ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇದು ಕನ್ಕರೆಂಟ್.
Ashok Gowda, leader of the Karnataka BJP, Sanket Yanagi of the Karnataka Congress, joining us on the show. I want to begin with Sanket Yanagi. When the BJP government talks of the UCC or an effort to see what the state can do in this regard, what is the Congress's position here?
Firstly, uniform civil code cannot be made applicable in respect of all the factions, all the provisions in fact. Because India is a country of different religions, but we may have to have a respect for each of the religion which has its own tradition, traditional history. Certain things which are attached to the tradition and the traditional history that cannot be segregated, and the Uniform Civil Code, insofar as certain aspects are concerned, cannot be integrated and made it applicable to all in a similar way, in the similar fashion.
So which aspects do you think the government shouldn't touch? Because UCC refers to laws on marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance, etc. why should there not be a common code for all citizens, regardless of religion? And this is obviously going to be religion neutral. It will apply to all.
Insofar as inheritance and succession is concerned, there cannot be any uniformity. It is based on each individual religious faith, religious tradition, traditional history. It cannot be equated with all, number one. Insofar as the maintenance and guardianship is concerned, that to certain extent be done, but not to a complete extent, because it also depends on the number of the members in the family or the division in the family. Insofar as Hindus are concerned, the right to succeed or inherit the property is a right from birth. But insofar as Muslims, it is not a right from birth, it is the right from the death of the person. So likewise, there are certain distinctions, religious distinctions, which cannot be equated. And number three, insofar as the maintenance of a wife is concerned, in Indian law, it is the duty of a husband. Insofar as Muslims are concerned, insofar as maintenance and the marital aspect is concerned, marriage aspect is concerned, insofar as Muslim, it is a contract. So that can also not be equated with.
So you're saying that there are too many issues that we cannot come on the same table on, given the various religious backgrounds, even though the UCC is a guiding principle in the constitution.
So UCC to certain extent may be possible, but not in entirety. Otherwise, it is going to create chaos.
Okay, let me take that to Ashok Gowda of the Karnataka BJP. Given what the Congress is saying, can you clarify, is this really something that the Karnataka government is serious about? Or is this just, riding the wave of the clamor of UCC because other BJP states have done it? In Uttarakhand, they announced it before elections, managed to possibly gain some momentum on the basis of that. And now after coming back to power, they have announced they're working on it. Are you really serious about it? Because it almost seems like you've mentioned it,
Definitely,
but you're not that keen on it.
Definitely, we are serious about UCC. In the entire country, wherever BJP government in the states are there, as it's a concurrent list, we will definitely implement it. In Karnataka, what has happened is we have taken the subject, but there is, because we are in the last session of the government, so we will not be able to put the bill in this. As soon as we get elected, definitely we will pass this bill. And it is for sure that in entire India, all the states should have UCC. Whatever Saket Yenige is saying, you should understand. What does the Constitution mean? Constitution means that equal rights in every matter for every citizen of this country. So why is this differentiation when it comes to certain religions, and certain religions do not have this kind of an access? What does that mean? That there are a lot of celebrities who are getting converted into Islam and who just want to take a second wife. And a lot of people, a lot of celebrities have done this. Where do we land up? Is this all this right? See, what Saket Yenige is saying, in the Muslim, marriage is a contract and the property succession is after the death. But apparently we should understand that in India, when you have accepted the constitution and everybody has equal right in every manner, why should we not accept uniform civil code? And Congress, in fact, should support this and not oppose it.
Okay. Why is it that the Congress opposes UCC, Sanket? Because, you talk of the Constitution all the time. Now, as I mentioned, this is a guiding principle of the Indian Constitution. This is something, even after 75 years of independence, we're waiting on. And I believe a lot of Congress leaders say that this is not the right time for UCC. When is the right time going to arrive? It can only arrive if you also build consensus and tell communities that, no, this is something we have to do.
So under the directive principles of the state policy, more particularly under the Constitution, which also supports for the UCC to certain extent. We must understand it is practicable. To a certain extent, it is not practicable.
No, but Sanket, the Constitution doesn't say that to a certain extent. I have read that directive principle. You are putting a rider on it that to a certain extent it can work. That may be your personal opinion. The Constitution doesn't say that.
No, but to the extent possible, it is under the directive principles of the state policy. It is not mandated. Let us understand that.
Yeah, but in the Constituent Assembly, the discussions was that at the time of independence, we may not be ready for it, but it's a guiding directive principle for a reason. The Constitution makers put it there for a reason. Shouldn't we honor that?
No, that we are not saying it should never be honored. We are only saying we may have to see the timing, we may have to see the applicability, we may have to allow certain water to flow beneath the bridge. Then only we can do that. Firstly, let me go one by one. The first question which I would like to ask my BJP counterpart, that in a Hindu, marriage is sacred, and under the Muslims, marriage is a contract. How would you equate it? Number one, it is not possible at all. Number two, let me go to another provisions of law. Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. Here, insofar as maintenance is concerned, under Hindu, wife can only seek for a maintenance during the lifetime of the husband. She cannot claim the right over the property. She has no right over the property of a husband during the lifetime of the husband. And insofar as Muslims, it is not so. That's another question. How can you equate it? Number two, in so far as Muslims are concerned, it is dower, that is called meher. In the sense, husband has to give meher to wife to get her marriage. And here it is something different. How can you equate it? Because it is going to the root of the matter.
No, I think you made that point. You made that point. I'll ask Mr. Gowda to respond to it. There are too many discrepancies in the way we look at certain institutions in our life. But Sanket, my question to you also is that there are certain principles of equality, having certain fundamental rights to dignity, freedom, etc., that are often in direct violation or come in conflict with some of these religious laws. At least on those, can't we come to a consensus that for us to be a constitutional democracy that upholds these principles, we have to then, there has to be a give and take. Somewhere we have to strike.
You are right. To a certain extent, which you pointed out, there are discrepancies. However, there are injustices as well.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court has intervened wherever it is required. Let us take an example of triple talaq. So the Supreme Court has rightly intervened, and we respect the right of a woman which has been dignifiedly addressed with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but everybody cannot go to court. I'm not talking about this case, but let's say somebody personally has an issue. Everybody cannot go to court and get, their rights. We have to formulate a policy and give the people the strength so that they don't have to go to courts. We cannot mire our public in litigation. But I'm running out of time. Let me give Mr. Gowda an opportunity to respond to you. This is too tricky. This is too messy. And this is not something that can happen, at least right now, in its entirety. Mr. Gowda.
See, what has happened is, historically, when the Hindu Succession Act and Adoption Act was passed, Congress could have done easily all these acts in specific, except for the Marriage Act, where the time was not ready in 1947. Easily, all this could have been done, but Congress deliberately, the act which was passed in 1927 relating to the Sharia law for the Muslims was kept the same manner, but the Hindu Succession Act and the Hindu Adoption and the Marriage Act, which was passed in 1936 or 37, was amended, and refurnishing of the same thing was done in 1952 and 53. So this is the problem which has led to a lot of things. Let me just explain only one part of the Succession Act. What does the Succession Act in India say for everybody, whether the child is a girl or a boy? The equal right is being given for everybody in this country. But whereas the Muslims, the 2/3 of the share goes to the boy and the 1/3 share goes to the girl, irrespective of the number of children who are girl, who are male and female child. If that means that there is only one female child, she gets 1/3, and there are 10 male childs, they get all 10 get 2/3. How unjustified it is. And whereas in what has happened to the Hindu Succession Act, all children will get equal.
Okay, we're losing your network. Let me just take this opportunity to fire my final questions. Sanket, one of the allegations, as Mr. Gowda is speaking, is that, you've not really leveled the playing field. The Congress that has been in power for 60 years since independence, for political reasons, and because you've considered Muslims a vote bank, and you've always used these issues like UCC and even others to kind of keep that vote bank with you. And even till today, you are actually pandering to those who are refusing to reform. And in that process, those who reform suffer. How is that fair?
So firstly, the Congress was in rule for several years and BJP was in opposition as well. BJP was saying on one or the other pretext that UCP was needed to the nation, and they propagated it. Even then, Vajpayee came to power in 1999. There was no UCP. There was no consideration of the UCP proposal. And again, they postponed this for the reasons best known to them. Again, 2014, BJP has formed the government in center. And second time, they formed the government in the Karnataka state. They
Okay,
delayed
why have they not done
reasons.
it yet? I get your point.
Yes.
But you didn't answer my question. The Congress created an unlevel playing field for minority vote bank politics.
So
You
it
didn't
is
answer
easy
that.
to blame. It is easy to blame.
It's in,
Let us
I mean, it's
understand.
there in front of our eyes. What's easy about this?
It is easy to blame.
I mean,
each
look at
other.
what happened in Shabano
But-
case.
But the question is again, I pointed out the discrepancies. It is difficult to manage and
Why
comprehend.
couldn't the
It is not
alimony
easy.
part be pushed through when the Supreme Court gave a judgment on it? Why did the Congress government go back on it even in violation of the Supreme Court order? Frankly, that could have been an opportune time for you to push that reform. I'll give Mr. Gowda 30 seconds. Sir, I have 30 seconds. Can you pass it though? Is the state
We
ready
are
for this?
committed- we are
Is everybody
committed
in the
to
state? Is everybody in the state going to come together on this? You will have to build some consensus. Anyways, you're going to do this post-election now. So this is a wonderful poll plank for you. But I'll give it that the BJP has always maintained that UCC is something they want to achieve. So nothing unfair about that. Can you do it though?
Definitely we will do it. We have done 370, we have done the Ram Mandir, and we will definitely do UCC across the country. There is no doubt with us. And we are very clear about the objectives of UCC.